Dandavat Pranam. So I wanted to make a short video to explain something about Guru Tattva. I am not very advanced or learned devotee, but what I've heard from Guru, Sadhu, and what I've read or understood from Sastra, I'm trying to give that information as best I can, because I have seen that there has been a sort of wave of presentation regarding Guru Tattva, and the apparent focus of that wave of information seems to make relative the position of Guru Tattva. What I mean by that is that in listening to a number of presentations about Guru Tattva, very seldom do you hear the presenter mention that the Guru should be a self-realized soul. This is one point. Another point I'll come to, but one point is that Sri Guru should be a self-realized soul. Many times the presenters give sort of secondary qualities of Guru Tattva. That Guru should be a firm follower of his Guru and Parampara, that they should be authentic and sincere in the practice of bhakti, that they should repeat exactly what they have heard from Guru. So these are all certainly qualities also of Guru. But without the quality of self-realization, without the quality that's stated in Bhagavad Gita, Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshana, that he's had darshan of the absolute truth, means he's realized the absolute truth, it is very difficult for that person acting in the role of Guru to really give the absolute truth. You cannot give something that you don't have. You can certainly help people to by pointing out the direction of the absolute truth. You can also help people by your own example of practicing to obtain the absolute truth. But in order to give someone the absolute truth, you have to have realized it. Now, certainly there are various degrees of realization along the path of bhakti. So it is not to say that there is no condition under which anybody less than a self-realized soul or uttamadhikari devotee can give initiation. Certainly it's mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, a nectar of devotion of Rupa Goswami Pad, that a person who is sastra yukti suni punya dridha shraddha yandra. It means that he is clear in Siddhanta of Sastra and the logic inherent in Sastra, and Dridha Shraddha Yandra means his faith is also firmly fixed. It's mentioned for that person, Taraye Sangsar, he can also deliver someone from the cycle of samsara. But there's a caveat here, or contingency. That contingency is that because they may be Siddhantavit, they may know Sastra, but if they have not fully realized Sastra, it is imperative and essential that they stay under the guidance of someone who is actually a realized soul, and they maintain the transparency to allow the flow of pure realization to come through them to those who have taken shelter of them, so that those disciples' faith and advancement in bhakti can become secure. In the 5th verse of Upadesh Amrita, or Nectar of Instruction, by our Srila Prabhupada, he mentions clearly that a person who is not Uttamadhikari Vaishnav, though he may give a mantra diksha and harinam initiation to someone, it should be understood that they cannot advance very well under their insufficient guidance. So it is a recognized fact, both by our Srila Prabhupada, it's stated many places in Sastra, that the Guru should be a self-realized soul. So the idea of presenting qualities of Guru without establishing that foundation can be inherently dangerous, because any aspirant on the path of bhakti can become confused what is the actual standard. The actual standard is that the Guru should be self-realized soul. He should have realized Krishna himself, and therefore he's capable of giving them to others. Just as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was mentioning, Krishna she tumara, Krishna dati paro, tomaro shakatyache. O Vaishnav Thakur, because you've realized Krishna, Krishna is now yours. You have the power to give him. So it is an important point to understand that the foundation of Guru Tattva is self-realized. Now, all of the other elements of Guru Tattva are certainly true. They should follow exactly the parampara. They should speak what they've heard directly from their Guru. They should be an example of what they're preaching. All of these things are true. But void of self-realization, still there is a danger that that person at some time or another can become overcome or overwhelmed by the influence of the modes of nature. It is also because they may still have connection with the modes of nature, they may be subject to the 4 defects of conditioned life. The tendency to be illusioned, to commit mistakes, the tendency to cheat, and to have imperfect senses. So without being able to be situated in the transcendental platform or on the transcendental platform, these 4 defects can plague a person's understanding. If they any way, form, or fashion deviate even slightly from the guidance of a realized soul. So I wanted to make this short video to make these points because I have seen a number of videos that I'm sent and just hearing a lot of lectures in which Guru Tattva is being discussed, and this seems to be a ongoing sort of phenomenon that many relative statements about Guru are made, but the absolute statement that they should be a realized soul is always lacking. Another phenomenon that I have seen is that there has been I don't know if it's called a pushback or perhaps just a rebellion even against the idea that Guru should also be Rasik. So perhaps because it's either not clear what Rasik means, or it's maybe a pushback against something that people have perceived to be a party division among institutions. I'm not quite sure where the real depth or the real substance of this idea comes from, that Guru should not be Rasik. But the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd verse, it is called the Foul Stuti verse, Nigama Kalpataro Galitam Phalam. In this verse, the very last line says, Oho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. That the person who is relishing this Bhagavatam, what to speak of speaking this Bhagavatam, should be Rasik. Rupa Goswami has written himself in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when discussing the 64 angas of bhakti, number 61 is Shrimad Bhagavatam Artadam Aswadan Rasikasaha. That one should taste the meanings of Shrimad Bhagavatam in the association of Rasik devotees, because Shrimad Bhagavatam is itself Rasik Sastra. This is the whole purpose for what Srimad Bhagavatam is written, to give the taste of spiritual ras in such a way that jad ras or material ras can be uprooted. Therefore, without taking guidance of someone who is rasik, it is also possible to have many misunderstandings about Srimad Bhagavatam. So what does the word ras mean? Rupa Goswami is also described Vyatiti bhavana vatma yas chamatkara bharabhu ridi satvale jale bhadam. That person in whom Suddha Sattva has drenched their heart, they can experience an extraordinary taste. Chamatkara means an extraordinary taste by their relationship to bhakti. So every verse, every letter of Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with bhakti ras. And that person whose heart has become drenched with Suddha Sattva, Ride satvole jale bhadam, whose heart is now bound or captured, Sudha Sattva, that person can see and relish or taste Ras in every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So naturally, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of such a person will yield great results in terms of communicating the taste of Bhakti Ras to those who hear it. We should not confuse Bhakti Ras with this high intimate pastimes of Krishna. That is not the meaning of Bhakti Ras. Bhakti Ras means when the true understanding of Krishna's pastimes, all pastimes are communicated with proper perspective, they will yield a taste called Bhakti Ras. I don't want to get into a whole discussion of what is Bhakti Ras. It's comprised of Sthai Bhav, Vibhav, Anubhav, Satvik Bhav, so many things. This is a whole nother discussion. But a person who is Rasik, when they're reading Srimad Bhagavatam or speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, no matter what section of Bhagavatam they're speaking, they can communicate the rasa samagri, or the ingredients of ras in Bhagavatam, to the hearers. Example is given that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Tota Gopinath temple was hearing Prahalad Charit from Gadadhar Pandit. Do you think that there was no ras? It was near ras Harikatha? Certainly there's so much ras Mahaprabhu is tasting, even though the katha is Prahalad Narasingha Charit. So it is not a matter of what subject is being spoken, it's a matter of the understanding of the speaker and his ability to understand the ras which is inherent in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the idea that Guru, the person who may be our main instructor in Srimad Bhagavatam, does not have to be, or in some instances they're saying actually shouldn't be, Rasik, I can't understand where that understanding would come from. It's certainly not presented by our Guru Varga. It is also in Srimad Bhagavatam, as I mentioned, very clear that even when you begin to read Srimad Bhagavatam, the understanding that Bhagavatam is Rasik Sastra is mentioned there. I think for want of proper understanding of some terms, many devotees are being diverted away from gathering this understanding, because they began to associate certain words, whether it is Rasik or whether it is Rag or Raganuga. They begin to associate these words with Sahaja. Of course, most times that you hear this association, if anyone was to inquire from the speaker further about the connection between Sahaja and the simple use of these words, most of the speakers would not be able to give any rational explanation how there's an immediate association of the word Rag, Raganuga, Ras, Bhav, or anything with the word Sahaja. Now, certainly there is Prakrita Sahaja. That's a whole separate study, and somebody should research Srila Prabhupada's writings, research the books of our acharyas, and understand what is Prakrita Sahajavad, and be able to separate that from the genuine teachings of the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If someone is unable to do that, then they will find themselves in a circumstance where they are being robbed of the actual genuine teachings that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. So it is imperative, and the onus is on each individual to put in the time, effort, study, practice, and simple-heartedness to understand what is the teachings coming in the line of Mahaprabhu. This is not an institutional consideration, nor is it an institutional competitive discussion. It is simply about what is the truth related to Guru Tattva, Rasa Tattva, the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, the teachings of our Guru Parampara. So my request, because I get so many emails or inbox messages or different videos and other things that are sent. And many times when I see them, devotees want a comment on them. I'm always reluctant, in most cases, to comment on these things because I don't know. For one, I don't feel necessarily so qualified. I've never even made a video like this. I don't feel particularly qualified to speak to someone else's understanding. But I am, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, speaking what I've understood from Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. I can be corrected, but what I've understood, in a nutshell, Guru should be certainly self-realized soul. That's a foundational principle. I've already given what accommodation is there for someone who may not be self-realized, but by some circumstance may be in the situation where they're giving Harinam or giving Diksha. Secondly, I pointed out that the idea that Guru should be or is not necessary for he or she to be Rasi is also not something taught in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the idea that it has come up as sort of almost a barrier or a means of separation, institutional separation, I think is a very great disservice to the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Because regardless of where you are situated in this group or that group, then to understand clearly what the teachings are is for the benefit of any aspirant in this process. So if you're unclear about what these things are, certainly you should make deep inquiry into Srila Prabhupada's books, into the books of our Vaishnavacharya. Srila Prabhupada has mentioned very clearly, only false devotees will say it is unadvisable to read the books of the previous acharyas. Srila Prabhupada has never said we should not read other books. It's clearly mentioned in his own writings. I've posted many times on various posts on Facebook where Srila Prabhupada has clearly said that we should in fact study the books of the previous acharyas according to our capacity. We are very fortunate now. Many books are translated into English language. And we have the opportunity to at least look at most of them. If anybody is fortunate enough to study Sanskrit language and they can look in that way, very good. But this is also not about scholarship. This is about trying to get a clear understanding of what is the process that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave, what has come down in our parampara as far as those teachings are concerned, and most importantly, receiving those teachings from a Tattvagya, Rasik, Vaishnav, who can genuinely deliver those things. Now, anybody who's upset with the idea that there is a insistence that the Guru should be self-realized and Rasik, then I would take heed about that person. Now, I understand the phenomenon of those who also come around and they may say, oh no, every other Guru is bogus, only the Tattvagya Rasik Vaishnav is... I'm not speaking about that. I don't give credence to the idea of creating crises of faith in people based on team spirit. So I'm only speaking what is the reality mentioned by Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra regarding Vaishnav Guru. They should be self-realized. Means Tattvagya means they should understand all Tattva Siddhanta. They should be Rasik. Because if they themselves are not tasting Ras of Srimad Bhagavatam, how will they inspire you to do it? And if you cannot taste the Ras inherent in the process of bhakti, what will prevent you from becoming attracted again and again to material Ras? Bhagavad Gita clearly makes this statement, Raso Brajam Raso Piyasha Param Drisva Nivartate. If there's no superior taste in the Ras inherent in bhakti, then how is it possible to give up material Ras? Not possible. So, you please forgive me, and you please forgive any impudence on my part, even to make a video like this. I certainly don't mean anything. It is not my, certainly inner heart or inner nature to be either controversial, which I hope this is not controversial, or confrontational, or to speak in a public audience where I know there are so many highly qualified and advanced devotees, and I feel somewhat like an upstart. But at the same time, everything I've always done is for my own edification. So, based on and inspired by one of the preaching classes we have every night, which is like an istagosti among many devotees from around the country, we were on the phone conference together, and this point came up, and so for this reason I was giving the video. In conclusion, one point came up that how will we know if someone is a self-realized Vaishnava? I mentioned the fact that if you listen to the preaching of devotees who speak, like I've heard many lectures of, obviously, my Gurudev, many lectures of Srila Pujapat Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, our Srila Prabhupada, many, they will affirm, yes, Guru means self-realized. Guru means if you have Krishna, you can give him. So they'll speak like this very boldly. But if you inquire from them personally about their own status, they will very quickly tell you, oh, I have not realized anything. Oh, I'm praying for that day to come when I will have some smell of bhakti. So I spoke last night on our phone conference, why does this happen? And it's explained clearly by Srila Rupa Goswami that a pure devotee has two levels of consciousness that he's always working in. Seva Sarika Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatrahi. One level, he is Siddha. Here, Siddha is also of two kinds. One, Siddha in Braj Leela, which is his internal realization, and even in the Acharya Leela. He may be Siddha in the form that he's in Gaur Leela, and when he's speaking, Tattva Siddhanta or anything else, he's speaking from that platform as a Siddha Acharya in Gaur Leela. And very boldly he's saying, yes, Guru must be realized. Guru is this. Guru is Rasik. Guru realizes Krishna. He has Krishna in his heart. He has Krishna praying. But when he's asked about his own personal situation, then the consciousness of him being a sadhaka, a practitioner, comes in his heart. And at that time they say, oh, I have not even the smell of bhakti. So this is seva and sadhika moods manifest in the same person. Even our Srila Prabhupada very quickly would say, oh, my only quality is that I follow the words of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is certainly true, but Srila Prabhupada is also Nitya Siddha Parikar of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. There's no doubt about this. You understand? When he is preaching, very boldly, he will speak things, but when asked personally, he feels like himself to be a sadhaka, and therefore he will very humbly express himself. So this is how to understand the dynamic of pure devotees preaching versus hearing them say things like, no, I have not experienced Krishna, I have not realized anything. Now, others who may preach, one tendency you will notice, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video, those who avoid even speaking that Guru should be self-realized, etc., etc., oh, be very careful. If they avoid bringing up this subject and they speak only the relative qualities of Guru Tattva, be cautious. Because you'll ask them also about their realization. They may also humbly say, oh, I have not realized anything. Oh, I'm simply humbly trying to follow the lotus feet of my Guru. Maybe they will also say like this. But when they are preaching, if they are transparent, to the actual Akhanda Guru Tattva, they are transparent to the teachings of Guru Parampara, very boldly they will tell, Guru is self-realized. Tasman Guru Prapajeta Jigyashvashretamam. Shabda Parecha Nishnatam. They are completely Siddhantavit. They understand everything, Sastra, everything. They'll completely speak like that. And of course, when their personal lives, they may humbly speak. But this idea came up on our telephone conference, and I spoke how to understand the pure devotees. They may speak in both ways. So listen to their preaching, and then you can understand that when they assess their own personal, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions, Yogyata Vichare Kichu Nahi Pai tomara karuna sar. When they look at their own selves, they think, oh, I'm nothing, no qualities. But when they're preaching in the mood of being Gora Siddha in their Acharya Lila, they preach very boldly. You understand? They preach very boldly. What is Siddhanta? I've noticed that. I've seen, if you look at any lecture of our Srila Gogovind Maharaj, especially, you'll see this quality. I posted one video and on Facebook recently. You could take a look at that. And also, there's some others where he completely does exactly what I just said. He preaches so boldly, and then at the end, the devotee asks him a question. He says, oh, but I don't even have a smell of bhakti. So this is his Dainya Bhav, his great humility. And many pure devotees, our Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, so many pure devotees, they also speak like this. So hopefully I've not added to confusion, and certainly I avail myself always to discussion on any of these things. But I thought I would like to make a video because it just seemed too long to write out a whole presentation on this, which I thought about doing originally, and I just thought for the first time, maybe I would do it just by making a video. And I happen to be finished with all my days, puja and my rounds and everything, so I thought it was a good time that I could do like this. So again, I beg the forgiveness. Anybody, if anybody felt any pinch or anything, always I'm begging forgiveness. I don't mean to commit any aparad. And also, please, all the Vaishnavas, you give me your blessings that I can even have Guru Nishta in this lifetime and stay involved in the process of bhakti. Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev, all glories to our Guru Parampara, Sachinandan Gaur Hari, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev, Shri Shri Radha Vallabha, Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, and all the Thakurjis of all so many nice devotees from around the world. Jai Radhe Radhe Hari Bol.